What up, what up, what up, what up? It's your boy P. Skip. Welcome to the best half hour of your entire Tuesday. You know what time it is. It's time to get into his course. My squad would be T-Mac.
Hola.
Chili Will.
Gracias, amigos.
Let's do this. What's good, Milwaukee? What's good? Listen, welcome to the number one faith-based sports talk show in the entire world, Into His Courts. Matthew chapter 20, verses 14 through 16, and the New King James says this. And what it talks about is you have workers, and they've worked for a different amount of time, and the owner chooses to pay them how much he wants to pay them. Mm-hmm. Like some have worked all day, some have worked half a day, and some have worked just a few hours, and the owner paid them all the same.
Mm-hmm. And they agreed to it.
They agreed to it. Mm-hmm. So we're going to talk today about putting in the work. Mm-hmm. Again, Matthew 20, verses 14 through 16, New King James says this. Take what is yours and go your way. This is the owner speaking. I wish to give to this last man the same as you. Is it not lawful for me to do what I want to do with the things that I own?
Mm-hmm. Jerry Jones.
Right. Or is your eye evil because I am good? So the last will be first, and the first will be last. For many are called, but few are chosen. Now I said that because a huge shout out to the Houston Rockets, because they have officially made Mr. Stephen Silas the new head coach of the Houston Rockets. Now, Silas has a resume and receipts. Mm-hmm. He was a former assistant coach for the Warriors, the Hornets, and the Mavericks. He is known as a basketball lifer. And who is ready to lead a team. He comes with 20 years of experience.
Wow.
Unlike Steve Nash, who comes with no months of coaching experience. Uh-huh. This man took 20 years before they finally gave him a chance. That's why the Bible says, let patience have her perfect work.
Amen.
So that you'll be whole and complete, wanting for no thing. And I'm glad they gave him a team that has championship potential. Mm-hmm. They didn't give him some starter kit team that didn't have anything to work with.
No pieces.
Right. And so he's got pieces. He just needs to figure out how those pieces are going to be put together. But what I love is, again, he's proven that I'm going to be doing this for the rest of my life. And he's a second-generation coach. Mm-hmm. His dad, Paul Silas, was the Celtics coach amongst...
Also, LeBron James, his first coach, I believe, in Cleveland.
In Cleveland. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so his dad has some coaching stripes as well.
And was an all-star player with the San Antonio Spurs. I had his basketball card as a kid. Right. Paul Silas. Go ahead, sir.
So, yes, he was a hooper as well. And so here you have a young man has been given the opportunity to do what he's been bred to do, what he's been led to do, what he's been taught to do. Now, here you are, son. Here's the keys. Make it happen. I think he's going to do an amazing job as a head coach. And I want to shout out to the NBA for once again giving another minority an opportunity for head coaching. I still want to see more minority head coaches, and I also want to see more minorities in the executive office as well.
And let me just dive in here real quick. I agree wholeheartedly. And I like it even better because I want to see African Americans get opportunities. When we talk about the minority piece, that has had an effect in terms of diluting us being African Americans, getting our just due. Sometimes when you have this minority moniker, it includes white women, it includes gay white men, it includes individuals that may be of other ethnic backgrounds, and that's fine for them to get theirs too. I'm just saying that when it comes down to us, there should be some things, because we were systematically singled out as the group to kick to the curb. Some of the love that should come, we shouldn't have to necessarily share that with the next man. When the sign said no Negroes allowed, it didn't say no minorities. It said black people. It was talking about a particular demographic. And so what I'm saying is, when it comes down to opportunities and that first shall be last, last shall be first, those who used to be last coming in first now, we're talking about a specific demographic. Right. Black folks, African Americans, ADOS, American descendants of slaves. That's who we're talking about, because that's who got kicked to the curb and disproportionately oppressed in terms of having opportunities withheld from them. So now that all the opportunities are open, we need to get ours. I ain't saying the next man can't get theirs, but get yours in your lane as we get ours in our lane. Now, there might be some opportunities we can come together as allies and do all that kind of stuff. That's cool. But again, some things ought to be for us, because that's who the oppression was kicked against, us. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, what he said. And with that being said, again, I'm excited about him having a chance. Mm-hmm. And here's the thing. I want to see that he gets the same full chance. Not we gave you the head coaching job, but you only get a year. Right. Or you get 2 years. No. Give him the 5 years, you know, that you gave D'Antoni.
Some runway.
Right. Uh-huh. Give me the opportunity to fix, because first thing I have to do is fix the problem. Mm-hmm. I got to fix the problem, and that may not be a 1-season fix.
Exactly.
That could be a 2-3 season, and realizing that the adjustments I make can't be made with these pieces. I may have to adjust some of these pieces.
Exactly, which means moving some of them in exchange for other better fit pieces.
Exactly. You know, and so give him the 5 years to do this without pulling the rug out from under him, because, yeah, it was an experiment. We tried it and it didn't. No, he is not a test dummy. That's
Correct.
not who he is. He's not a crash dummy. You just wait for him to crash so you can get who you really want in there. That's not who he is. He is a man who's earned every last voice, every last syllable he has to say, sitting up under others. So when he opens his mouth, he should be like E.F. Hutton, y'all should listen.
Exactly. And not only did he pay his dues, so to speak, with his 20 years tutelage as an understudy to these other coaches and these other franchises, he also has had the benefit of being able to establish relationships and coach and bring his brilliant mind and strategies to play into some of the best players in the world. When he was coaching with the Warriors, that's Klay Thompson and Steph Curry. He was coaching them. Also with Dallas, Luka Doncic, arguably the best young player in the league right now, might even be MVP in the next season or two, when he was with Dallas under Rick Carlisle.
And with Dirk.
Coached them. So this isn't some spring
also
chicken.
Wasn't Jason Kidd with him too?
I can't confirm that, but
that's a
maybe.
Championship. If that's a championship, it was Jason Kidd was on that team.
Bruh, you know what I'm saying? So he has earned the right to get his opportunity. And to Pastor Skip's point, give him some runway. Don't give him 1 year to demonstrate his brilliance and his greatness. Give him all the tools, all the time, all the support. Don't look over his shoulder, because you give other coaches a lot of leeway and they have been mediocre. At best. So give this guy an opportunity and your full support to build a winning team, with him being the at the helm of the franchise. His dad was a player. His dad was a coach. So he has pedigree and experience. So he got some extra cheese. So if there was anybody that needed for the owner and the rest of the executive management of the franchise to have hands off, we're going to give you the keys, man. Drive this car any way you want it, and we're going to go ahead and give you some time to make it right, to put whatever kind of rims you want on there. You want to tint the windows, whatever sound system. You want to get you some 15-inch Fosgate subwoofer, whatever you want to do to this vehicle, bruh. This is yours. We trust you because you've come to the table with stripes and receipts. That would be the right thing to do. And if NBA, if y'all got Black Lives Matter and all that stuff on y'all floor, put your money where your mouth is and show it. Don't just talk about it, giving us lip service. Demonstrate it with your actions. And this is an excellent case study in that. This can be your exhibit A of you are in it to win it for real and you're genuine in the things you've been espousing over this past year of 2020.
Yeah, this year we have Silas, who got a job. Lou got another job. Rivers, we knew he wasn't going to stay seated for long. Who else got one?
Is Sam Cassell talking to somebody right now?
He could be.
And what's my man, Bernie Bickerstaff's son? Didn't he get somebody too? Bickerstaff, I forget his first name.
Right.
I think he landed somewhere as well. So it's about 4 or 5, I think, right now.
That's great. Speaking of Doc, the rumor mill already with Doc is Embiid is gone.
What?
They're like, listen, we want to
Joel Embiid.
We want to see what we can get, because if you look at the way the NBA has evolved, Embiid is an antiquated player, because very rarely does anybody play back to the basket basketball anymore, that throwback center. And he's tried to develop a jumper. But that's not what he is.
I would say yes. I would say his jumper is decent enough. He's a respectable jump shooter.
But nowadays, now what they're doing, and thank you, D'Antoni, they're getting rid of the 5.
Yeah.
And they're just having 2 4s out there.
Small ball.
Right. And so, the reason why L.A. could do it is because of LeBron. That's why L.A. got away with having, and Anthony Davis has a clutch 3. He used to play point guard.
Yeah.
Before he grew. So he has a guard mentality with a center's body.
Yeah. So
he had to learn how to play with his back to the basket. He faces up. Most of his centers, he faces them up.
Yeah.
And that's not who Embiid is. And so I'm thinking, there may be some sort of package deal, and for all the money they got invested in him, for the amount of injuries he's had.
Yeah, he's a movable piece, and I will agree that his mobility may be or lack of mobility may be a liability in Philadelphia, and I would, fault Doc for getting rid of him. And he's been with, Simmons for a little while now, and that combination, didn't necessarily work. Brought in some other pieces. Jimmy Butler didn't work. My man Tobias Harris, didn't work. So that combo of all-stars may be on its last legs anyway. And is Embiid an expendable piece? Yes. I still think that he is a valuable player, an all-star caliber guy, and with the right team. And I think that maybe if he does get moved, it might, for lack of a better phraseology, hurt him in such a way that it forces him to operate at peak efficiency, if nothing else, but to prove that you shouldn't have given up on me or thought I was expendable to the success of this team.
I think them bringing in Al Horford was part of the plan to get rid of him.
Okay. The beginning of the end.
Yeah, I think it was. Because they said, well, maybe there's Twin Towers here. These Twin Towers don't work. Because Horford is a vet that gets, I'll play whatever role you need me to play.
Yeah, for the greater good of the team.
Whereas Embiid is still a young guy with ego who's like, listen, I'm the franchise. Not him, not Ben. and definitely not you, Tobias. And I don't even know why you even came over here, Buckets, Jimmy Butler. This is my squad. And Jimmy looked at us and said, you soft as warm Wonder Bread. I'm out of here.
Yeah.
And because you are the franchise, the rest of this team is soft.
Yeah. But I think the franchise is complicit in that. I mean, Elton Brand, I believe, former Duke player, former NBA Sixer, and also All-Star for a season or two. They when they drafted Embiid out of, I think, Kansas, he already had kind of a little history of injury.
Oh, yeah, injury bug.
And while he wasn't as I'll say disastrous as Greg Oden, who went to Portland coming from Ohio State a few years back, he had a similar type of, early history. And for the first, I think, maybe year or two of him being in the league, he wasn't able to play because of a variety of foot, knee, leg injuries. But I'm thinking that at that time, I think they kind of created that quote-unquote monster themselves. I'm sure that whoever was his handlers from the organization side was saying, hey, we're still going to stick with you. You are our future. You are our franchise. We still love you. Don't worry about it. We got your back. He was hearing that for 2 years and had not laced them up yet.
Right.
So now when he gets to lace him up, probably all of the, the headlines in the newspapers in Philadelphia, oh, Embiid, at long last, he's there. Da, da, da. So
the savior of Philly. He's the Rocky of basketball.
That. And I'm sure there was a whole heaping of that. And for a young guy, 21, 22, 23, unless you have some supernatural intestinal fortitude of humility, that can go to your head. And I think that kind of contributed to it. Then when they had some modicum of success going to the playoffs and he, all-star burst, see, here it is. You know what I'm saying? So I think that they contributed to whatever prima donna mentality he may have.
And here's the thing for me. You cannot be a prima donna until, as you say, show me the receipts.
Exactly.
You got no receipts, bro.
None.
All-star, you being an all-star does not make you have receipts. The way you were put out and cried and became a full meme says you don't have receipts.
let me just tickle that a little bit. So, and this is more of a question for you as a competitor, ultra competitor. I know you are a black belt, hate to lose kind of guy. Could it be with Embiid, with the tears, the meme moment? Could it be just the full expression of his distaste for losing to the point that he would risk looking like a sissy in crying like that on national television and showing his emotions only because he hates losing that much? Does that not make him an ultimate competitor?
Listen.
It's just a question.
To everything there's a season. And a time and place for everything under the sun. That's not the time because it didn't show strength. It showed weakness for him. It didn't show that. You should have went into the locker room, got you a towel over your head, and cried like a baby. I get it. I understand the pain. But what you don't do is you don't, after all of the hype, after all of that, think about this. LeBron went to 7 finals. If anybody had a reason to cry, it was 2. He didn't. He said, okay, back to the lab. Retooled, worked on some skills, and said, I don't like this feeling. I'm going to do whatever I got to do to not have this feeling no more. But what I've noticed about Embiid is...
He actually went to 10 finals. He lost 6. But the point he's saying is he lost in the finals and didn't do what Embiid did.
He went to 7 straight.
There you go.
Yeah. So here we go. Embiid versus crying. You should have got mad at yourself and looked at the tapes and said, what could I have done to win?
Athletes everywhere, particularly you all in high school, listen to this. He's dropping some wisdom here in his explanation. Continue on.
Looking at the tape and say, okay, I'm going to take this loss personally because I'm looking at I should have slid over here in defense and I could have blocked that shot. I kind of jogged down the court when I should have ran down and been a part of the defense. I took a shot that I should have passed. All those things you need to look at and examine yourself and go, what did I do to contribute to this loss? And what can I eliminate that I've done to make sure that we don't lose anymore? Because when you come back next year tooled up and better, you then can hold others accountable to be better. But if you came back the same way, you can't look at anybody else and say, bro, we ain't going to win like this. Obviously, this level ain't what it takes to win. We got to take this to the next level. So all of us got to put more skin in the game. I got skin in the game. It's not enough skin. Add some more skin in this game so we can win. And if you don't look at yourself, and you're a professional, you're getting paid to be your best. You're getting paid to be your best.
It's your job.
Right. And so with that being said, there has to be a level of pride to say, I need to get better. A level of professionalism that says, I must get better. And a level of dignity that says, I'm so much better than this that I have to do better. And unless you have that, you will settle for mediocrity and think, well, at least we're the best loser. We're top 5 losers. We're not the bottom end of the losers. You're still in the L column. I don't care what you tell me. And that's the place that, and I think Philly fan, because Philly fan ain't like Cowboy fan. Philly will turn on you and tell you, bruh, you stinketh.
Yeah.
And be treating them funny in the city. Dude, you can't come to our restaurant. We don't even want you eating here.
Yeah, Philadelphia is a real town with real citizens. Don't be fooled by the fact it's on the eastern seaboard. Unlike the Boston and D.C. that, has a little bit, of other kind of, pristine stuff. Right. Philadelphia is legit. It has a historical value and all that kind of stuff. And I think at one time, quiet as kept was the nation's capital years and years ago. But the people of Philly, they're down to earth. They're real. I went to Philly a time.
And having it.
Hey, so
they're called the city of love, but they love to win.
The city of brotherly love, which means that brotherly love can be some hard love sometimes, too. Right. Tough love.
Right. And so I think they've had it with Embiid, and it's not showing up because you have injuries, not showing up because your skill set doesn't allow you. How many times, think about it, in crucial games, fourth quarter, did Embiid have to be sat down because he was a liability?
Yeah. He had definitely some flaws, and I think also he has he's temperamental as well.
Goodness.
So to the thing.
No. Sensitive. He is a man with sensitivity.
Not a lame man like me. I'm a grown man. Anyway, that's a little throwback from y'all. Ralph Tresvant, one of the members of the legendary New Edition boys group. Shout out to y'all. What up? From Boston, nonetheless. The Embiid piece, the case for him, I think, and it's been said by folks, like Shaq and others, that, hey, man, we see that you can actually really be a monster. Could be potentially one of the all-time greats. Right. You can play with your back to the basket, so on one hand it's a throwback, but on the other hand it's an old-school skill that is still valuable. Right. Tim Duncan went to the Hall of Fame on that, had a nickname called Big Fundamentals because his back-to-the-basket game and other things were so, top-notch. So it's not necessarily foul if you can go ahead and do it in crucial moments as well as when it doesn't matter as much. You have an outside jumper. You got range. You can shoot the three. I would say he's a better jump shooter than our Giannis Antetokounmpo, who's the two-time defending MVP of the league. I mean, so you have a lot of good things. However, your flaws are such that they almost override your positive qualities to the point to where you become, sounds like now, expendable, which means that everybody, has flaws. You know what I'm saying? Right. So we all want to work on those things. But in your particular case, yours are correctable in such a way that it won't take you the whole rest of your life to figure the stuff on out. And to me, a lot of it starts in that mentality. So for him, I think what would be beneficial would be two things. Number one, kill that noise about all the hype that he's been hearing, all the babying, all the pampering that he's been getting probably since he was in high school and all throughout college. I think he came out of Kansas after just 1 year and went to the pro. So people have been gassing you up for a long time, bruh. Kill that noise. And what you ought to do is realize that your biggest competition isn't Giannis or isn't other centers or even teammates like Horford. Your biggest competition is your potential. Right. So if you, on a scale of 1 to 10, are performing at an 8.5 or 8.7 or even a 9.1, that's great. It might put you in the upper tier, might get you a A grade, but if your potential is 10 at a 9.1, guess what you're doing? You're underachieving. So what you need to do is take a look at what is my potential and what is my current performance and rise above and lift your standards up, not to the level that you are right now, even if it is having some modicum of success as an all-star center, but comparing it to what you potentially could be. And if there is a difference between the two and you are performing less than what your full potential is, your aspiration ought to be, let me get up to where my potential is. Right. Now you can talk about, hey, I'm the real deal.
Right. Embiid, if you're listening to me, Embiid, you need to make a decision what you're going to be. Are you going to be that strong power center, or are you going to be that stretch five? Whatever you're going to be, rock that.
Rock it, Doc.
But you're not doing well being a jack of all trades because you've mastered nothing. Mm-hmm. But, you said something earlier, and I wanted to speak on that. You were talking about Giannis being a two-time MVP. And this is one thing that I've been watching, and let's look at the criteria of an MVP. Mm-hmm. There's 4 things an MVP has to have. Mm-hmm. The MVP has to have a jump shot, the ability to hit the 3. Mm-hmm. The MVP has to have the ability to create his own shot. The MVP has to have the ability to hit free throws. And an MVP has to have the ability to take over a game. Mm-hmm. Out of those 4 things, how many of those does Giannis have?
Not many of them.
The only one I could possibly give him is to create his own shot.
Yeah, that's the only one I see as well.
3 out of the 4 you don't have. Mm-hmm. So if we go by what an MVP does, mm-hmm. that was LeBron.
Yeah.
That's LeBron. It wasn't Giannis. Let's just be honest. Mm-hmm. Let's just be honest. It wasn't Giannis. And so with that being said, Giannis, if he wants to be the legitimate MVP, mm-hmm. then he's got to bring up at least 2 more of those.
I see. This is, although this is actually content for a whole nother show.
We only got a couple minutes.
In these next 20 seconds, I agree with you. And I think those characteristics, having the jumper, create your own shot, ability to hit free throws, and ability to take over a game, those are the unofficial characteristics that you need to have. We are that are observing this. If a Joker can do this, that Joker ought to be MVP.
Right.
I think the NBA has some other criteria that prevented LeBron from getting. How can you be the best player in the game and not get MVP every year? Similar to Michael Jordan. His whole career, he was the coldest person in the NBA. He didn't get the MVP every year either. So with that piece, though, to your point, you can't rest on your laurels if there are some things that we see that obviously don't necessarily fit. You're not a great free throw shooter. You don't have a jumper. You don't always take over games because if the defense plays off you against your weaknesses, you can't overcome them. How can you then be MVP. So there's some flaws to the scoring system. Not taking nothing away from you, Giannis. We love you, and don't sign with another team. Extend for the max here in Milwaukee. Stick around.
We still want you, bro.
You know what I'm saying? We're just saying that there is some inconsistency there. And with all of the success that you've had, we're encouraging you to still improve some areas of your game that could make you an even better player than what you are right now.
Yeah, no doubt. Hey, listen, again, we are Giannis lovers, not Giannis haters. I just want to say that. But we also are people of honesty. Let's keep this real. These are the things that an MVP is supposed to have to be the best player in the league.
As demonstrated on the court.
Right. So with that being said, listen, thanks so much for hanging out with us again. We'll see you next week, same bat time, same bat channel, every Tuesday night from 7 to 7:30. Joy 1340 AM, 98.7 FM. Also, check us out on YouTube, Facebook. Listen, we're out there. Check us out. Until next week, have an amazing week.